Andrew Terry, the mindset coach and founder of Manifesting Miracle Makers, rounded up her LinkedIn family once again. First, we've got Brian Smart, Mr. Content and Dadpreneur. He's striking the perfect balance between raising his youngest daughter and creating masterful content. Next, meet Denise Annalise Spiller, the gig expert and relentless traveler and writer. She turns every gig into an adventure. Then there's Jay Pasquale, the storytelling strategist, a poet and voiceover artist. He's weaving tales that'll make you think, laugh, and maybe even change your perspective. Get ready for a show filled with wisdom, inspiration, and the magic of family. Let's welcome Cassandra Terry and the rest of the fam.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. So glad to have you with us on this Thursday edition of the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. Thank you for being here. We are going to get started with Thankful Thursday, talking about one of my favorite subjects because it is a subject that has changed not only my mindset, but it has changed my life. Gratitude. Gratitude is a tool. Gratitude is a mindset. Gratitude is a way of life. It's a way of showing up in the world. It's a way of shaping our perspective. It is a way of focusing on what we have versus what we don't. Being in a place of abundance versus being in a place of lack. Seeing the positive, the gift in whatever situation you're going through, be it in total positive or negative. Some experiences that we have to go through, if we were writing the script, we wouldn't include them, right? But when we look back on those experiences with the magic of those special glasses, that hindsight view, when we can take a look at what has transpired in our lives in the different seasons, we often find the things that caused us the most struggle, the places and times where we were struggling the most are often the places and times where we also gained the most wisdom, learned about our resilience, started to understand that we were capable of doing those difficult things and not just getting through, but thriving through, coming out on the other side with your smile and your joy intact. It may have waned for a bit, but you didn't lose it. And if you did lose it, I'm here to tell you that there are things that you can do, steps that you can take, decisions that you can make to regain it. And starting with gratitude, my good old gratitude sandwich. I start each day before I open my eyes, just as I'm becoming conscious, thinking about 2 or 3, sometimes more, things that I'm grateful for. And a lot of times I force myself to focus on areas that are not going so well. Try being in an argument with somebody or being really upset with them. And in your gratitude practice, you think about why you're grateful for that person. It changes the dynamic of those negative feelings. It changes how you'll interact with them. Instead of being reactionary and lashing out of emotions, you'll take a step back and be responsive and act out of thought and grace and coming from a perspective of this person means something to me. They are of value to me. I honor this relationship. So I'm going to manage this situation from that perspective. I'm not going to just throw caution to the wind and just say the first thing that comes out of my mouth. I'm not going to be so focused on winning the argument that I lose the relationship, right? You have to assess it. How valuable is this relationship to you? And gratitude will help you figure that out. If it's not a valuable relationship, then you have to assess why you're in it. Why are you putting any energy into it at all? Either way, doing that assessment and determining where you are with the person on the other end of what's going on will inform you and help you show up as the best version of yourself, calm the situation, solve the issue versus inflaming it because you're emotional, you're triggered. So you're just responding from that place. Our emotions don't typically evoke also our brain, right? We're just feeling and acting out of those feelings. But if we just give ourselves a breath, just take a beat, take a moment, and allow the brain to kick in as well, so you can really think, that allows you to respond instead of react. And you're always going to show up better when you do so. Sometimes the message does need to be one that's harsh. Sometimes you need to get your point across because you've been treated badly. Our emotions are valuable. They're like signal lights. They're telling us something. Something's out of whack here. A boundary has been crossed. Something's not working the way I need it to work. Or maybe I'm over responding to the situation. Maybe I'm triggered by something that happened a long time ago that emotionally I'm remembering in this situation. Taking a step back, thinking about the value of that relationship and the person that's in it will help you cycle through those thoughts fairly quickly and come to a conclusion of how you really want to respond to the situation. So gratitude is powerful. It is, like I said, one of my favorite tools. I've already been deep in it this morning. Before I got up this morning, I did just that. I thought about what I was grateful for. I typically do it before I go to bed at night as well. Last night I went to bed a little sick, fighting a headache. I don't even remember going to sleep. So I'm sure last night I did not practice gratitude, but I was right back on it this morning, because what we are doing, looking for, modeling, is progress, not perfection. We are not going to get it right all the time, right? But as long as we get right back in the game, as long as we can evaluate ourselves from an honest place and see where we have the opportunity to improve, we keep moving forward. And you can really do those evaluations when you have a good relationship with self. When you can look in the mirror and go, girl, you missed it last night. The reason you had a headache, that's your body signaling that you're not taking good enough care for yourself. You need to slow down. Make sure you're eating. Make sure you're getting enough rest, right? And then you don't pass out at the end of the day and not even remember when you went to sleep and miss your gratitude practice. It's all connected. I could be really upset with myself and have some harsh things to say about me and how I'm managing all of that, or I could simply recognize that things are out of balance and then think through how to reset and get that balance back and make better decisions. When you're thinking in conjunction with your feelings, you're aware of what's going on. That's what the feelings will help you do. They signal you there's something out of whack. And then the brain, when you bring it into the equation as well, can help you to really assess what that is and make good decisions. So you're solving the right problem. I could be mad and say, well, I didn't get enough sleep because this person kept me awake. They wanted to talk about this. This thing happened at work, so I'm stressed out. I could blame external circumstances, or I could look inward and go, how can I manage this situation better? I can't control the external circumstances, but I can control how I manage them. And when I allow the feelings to alert me that something's off, and then I allow the brain to help me process what that is, I solve the right problem so that I get going once again. Now I'm not upset with work and focusing on that, trying to solve a problem there. Getting a new job wouldn't change me, because guess what? It'd still be me at that new environment, managing things the way I manage it wherever I am. So the answer is always going to be inside. What can I do differently so that I manage this situation better? When you learn that, then the environment is not quite as overwhelming, not quite as important, because you maintain your control and set your boundaries and determine how you're going to deal with those situations. You may get to a point where you realize, within this environment, be it a job, be it a relationship, be it whatever, my boundaries are not going to be respected. I'm not going to be thought of properly. So now it's time to solve a different problem. The environment needs to change. But we often jump to the extremes because we don't do that internal processing to see our contribution in the first place. We can typically make a bad situation better just by doing some adjusting on our side. So the voice within wins, guys, every single time. Use those emotions to alert you, but turn the brain on as quickly as possible so that you're processing well and making good decisions to get you there. I see we have some folks. Kim, I'm so glad you were here, that you're here. I tried to send it to you. I am all out of invites for the week. Every other week I run low because I do the audio room on Wednesday nights. And so I'm so glad that you were able to join without the direct invite. So I'm thrilled. Something else to be grateful for this morning. Kim is always tells me, don't forget to send me an invite. And so you're always front of mind, Kim, when I am creating the time for the next day. But my hands were tied this time, so I'm thrilled that you're here. Sean, Michael, good morning, all. Grateful to join. It's great to have you back. You were with us yesterday, and it feels good to have you returning back to back. That says to me that you got some value out of your time here. We certainly got some value out of what you added, and am looking forward to what you will add today. Conchita, one of my favorites. Glorious Grand Rising, everyone. Thankful for another amazing day. She begins every day with us saying that it's going to be amazing. And she comes back and says the same thing the next day. So I am trusting and believing for her that that's exactly what she's creating for her life. Amazing days. And when they don't unfold that way, because of her mindset, she's grabbing the gift, grabbing the learning, making the adjustments, and getting right back to the next amazing day. So thank you for being with us, Conchita. Sean said, one of my favorite proverbs, Nano Korobi Yaoki. I bet I got that last part really wrong. Fall 7 times, but rise up 8. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. We all will fall. We all will stumble. But will we get back up? That's the question. There's no question in my mind that I'm going to stumble. There's no question in my mind that I'm going to fall. But there's also no question in my mind that I'm going to get back up. Because it's a choice, guys. We have way more power than we give ourselves credit for. Remember that. If you fall 7 times, get up 8, you are still winning. And focus on the learning with each of those 7 falls. What caused me to stumble? Where did I trip? What can I change in the course of how I'm doing things so that I don't fall the 8th time, or I don't at least hit the same spot, right? We should be learning and adjusting from those falls so that we continue to get better and to advance. So fall 7, but just make sure you get up 8. Love that. Thank you, Sean. Good morning, Sonia, my sister. So glad to hear you. People are always confused. They never know when I'm talking about blood relatives or folks that I have acquired along the way through the chosen family. Sonia is one of my chosen family members and one of the most supportive folks around. So thank you so much for being here. Kim said, I figured out the path. LOL. So glad that you did. Sean, she says, Cassandra Terry, as a fellow mindset coach, I love what you are sharing. Sean, do you have rooms or anything? I'd love to be able to connect and follow and learn from you as well. I get excited when people who are in the same space show up because I see that as an opportunity for me to learn and get better. Conchita, thank you, Cassandra. You are correct. Listening to the fam each week helps with remembering that mindset matters. You are so right. It matters so much. And Sean said, brother from another mother, sister from another mister. That's right. I have so many. My family is large because I have been blessed with people who have poured into my life enough to go beyond being friends and crossover into family. And 2 of those people are with me on camera this morning, my brother Jay and somebody not on camera again, but he's still here. So Mr. Content, if you can so grace us with your face at some point in time, we would love it. But we also know that's the other thing about family. You poke at each other. The mornings are busy for him because as the dadpreneur, he's always taking care of things with the family at this time of the day. Yet he makes time for us and to show up and drop his wisdom in whatever way that he can do it. And that is much appreciated. Sean says, no rooms yet. but planning a 3-day workshop around people pleasing. Oh, I love that. This whole thing for me, Sean, started at least showing up in these spaces, started a couple of years ago when I began to blog. And my very first article was from people pleaser to boundary setter. So right there with you. If I remember, I'll share the link to that with you. I think you would based on your workshop, that it's probably something that you'd be interested in. So let us know the details of your workshop. I'm interested. I think we have hit all the comments. Let me check one more place really quickly. Oh, my daughter's there. She says good morning. And the lady who keeps these locks locking, keeps the shine in the dew. Carol, naturally beautiful, has joined as well. Oh no, that's Monica, I think. Carol's supposed to be here, but I don't see her yet. Naturally beautiful. Is that you, Monica? The picture is small, but it sure looks like you. I think that I remember that being your name. That's fam there too. Glad to see you. My daughter says, "Hey, lady, thank you for joining." She's a teacher, so I'm sure she won't be with us the whole time. And she's got a little army of men that she's raising. Three grands. She's made me a grandma 3 times over, all boys. So she's a boy mom. Let's see. Sean says, I gave a talk recently. Stop being nice. Be not nice instead. Ooh, is it recorded? If so, share it. I would love to hear that. All right. So I think we have acknowledged all of the comments. Let me share our quote for the day. It's from one of the folks that I really, really enjoy reading. I've got a chance to meet her a couple times at different events. And she shared with me that my first name is her middle name. Brene Brown is actually Brene Cassandra Brown. I don't have to chase extraordinary moments to find happiness. It's right in front of me if I'm paying attention and practicing gratitude. So Brene Brown is a researcher, well known, well renowned, and she focuses on vulnerability. She writes and lectures on vulnerability on a regular basis, and how without it you do not have the ability to have authentic relationships. So and she does say that everybody doesn't have the right to your story. So you don't just walk around, well, guess what happened to me, to strangers, but you build those relationships, and as they develop and as the trust is there, then you share more and more of who you really are. And in that process is how you develop good, lasting, authentic relationships. Great author, great lecturer, has contributed a lot to the mindset, self-help, get yourself together space. So she's one of my favorites. And she said, I don't have to chase extraordinary moments to find happiness. It's right in front of me if I'm paying attention and practicing gratitude. So first you talked about, what are you focused on? Are you paying attention to the things that bring you joy that are right in front of you? Like my daughter showing up, like seeing Monica, like each one of you that you've been around enough that I'm able to virtually connect and say a little bit of something about how I know you or what you've been contributing over time. I'm grateful for that. Those are relationships that are different from when you first found me, right? And you showed up for the very first time in the room and you finally said something. Over time, we get to know more and more about each other. So we choose to focus. Kim, I talked about her in the beginning. She's been coming for a very long time. And so has Sonia and some of the rest of you. But she made a point of reaching out to me and said, hey, I miss it when I don't get that alert that tells me that you're going live. And sometimes I miss it and have to catch it after the fact. That's just embedded in my mind. I focus on it. So literally when I'm putting my rooms together, that conversation comes to my mind and I'm thinking, oh, I need to make sure I send Kim an invite. I'm paying attention because that environment was created. That conversation had impact on me. A lot of times the things that we allow to be impactful, that we really focus on, are the negative things that have happened to us, the things that have not unfolded the way that we would have liked. I have a hard time calling them negative, but I do understand that difficulties come. As long as we're living, there is a chance that the next difficulty is going to find you. Whether or not it's truly negative, not my, for me, the situations that have happened in my life that I had deemed the most negative ended up being the ones that propelled me forward, ended up being the ones that molded me and got me to where I am today. They woke me up, they got me off autopilot, they helped me to learn who I am, what my values are, what I'm okay with and what I'm not. I didn't always know those things, but there have been enough jarring moments in my life that required me to figure those things out. So even though they were difficulties and not easy to traverse, there was still something positive that has come out of them. And because I'm at a place in my life now, may not have been there in the midst of it, but now I'm in a place in my life where I can see the value that I got even from those difficult times. I see them differently. I process them differently. I don't have so many, negative feelings and things associated with them. It comes down to what I'm paying attention to, and then being grateful in that moment for what's right there in front of me. I'm grateful for the two faces that I see. I'm grateful for the comments that you guys have provided. I'm grateful that there's some people out there watching that I have no idea because they haven't dropped a comment. That's okay too. I'm always surprised because I'm focused during this time on the people who are commenting. So I know that there's a handful of people watching because I'm interacting with you, you're interacting with me. But afterwards, when I see it posted in the different places, I'm really surprised at the number of views and the things that are there, well beyond what I can see in this moment. And because it's recorded, people will see it later. So how things appear in the present is only a portion of the reality. Sometimes we have to look back to really see the big picture and to understand what that moment did for us or what it can do for us if we change how we're processing it. Let's see. Okay, so I'm sorry, Sean gave us the link to her talk. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, Sean. She said, love, 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 Brene Brown. Yay, me too. What we focus on expands. So what are we focusing on? That's the $1 million question, right? We are creating, we are building all the time. If you don't like what you're building, check your blueprint. Your blueprint is developed by your mindset. Your mindset is deciding what you're going to focus on. So, again, you have to go inside, do that internal work so that you have the opportunity to change things. Conchita says, I enter your morning show in my phone to receive an alert through my calendar setting. The positive dialogue is just that important to my day. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that feedback. All right. So I see Brian is walking through, so he's probably not in a position where he can talk right now. So let me pull it over to you, Jay, and then Brian, whenever you can, just jump in and we'll adjust accordingly whenever you get to a point to where it's good for you to speak. So with that, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the quote. I don't have to chase extraordinary moments to
Mm-hmm.
find happiness. It's right in front of me if I'm paying attention and practicing gratitude. So immediately what came to mind was Psalms chapter 118 verse 24 through
Okay.
26. And we all know this one. If we've if we've listened if we listened in church or read the Bible. So one of the things is um, when we practice gratitude, the first thing I think about is Psalms, right? And so this is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Save now, I pray, O Lord. O Lord, I pray, send now prosperity. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. We have blessed you from the house of the Lord. So, really, what these verses are talking about right? We're rejoicing, we're being glad in it. And in this, we're also saying, Lord, send that prosperity. Send it because we're feeling it right now. Keep sending it. And we are blessed as a result of it, us thinking about it. So all of this really it focuses on gratitude in the life of a believer. Now, I'm a Christian, so I believe in the Bible. I believe in God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. Whatever you believe, though, this is the thing. Rejoice in it. Really, for us as believers, though, it underscores the importance of recognizing God's hand in all aspects of what we do, from the dawn of each new day to the fellowship of other believers, what we do on the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. And through gratitude, believers are going to cultivate that deep sense of appreciation for the blessings that come to us. And it fosters that spirit of joy and even humility, um, but ultimately devotion, right? Devotion to that higher power. And I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable here. I'm going to talk about what Cassandra was talking about because she was preaching directly to me. And this is God working in this moment. And I hear you, Lord. Here's what happened. She was talking about how we communicate with others. How should we come at them, you know, in such a way that it's not going to be beneficial to us? How do we have that communication? And I heard, you know, instances of, right, sometimes there's got to be some tough love. So here's the vulnerable part. My dad, um, he's in stage 5 kidney disease. And prior to that, because he's diabetic, he he would speak with his doctor and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm this old, and I've been this way all my life. Yeah, I'm not gonna change. I'm gonna eat the way I'm gonna eat and do what I'm gonna do because that's just what I've been doing all my life." Well, he's been to the the hospital recently, and he was diagnosed with that stage 5 kidney disease. And is as a result of his thoughts and his mindset and how he just treats his body. Mm, he's not that young, spry chicken anymore, right? But he continues to do what he's been doing. And having that conversation with him once, I w- I I pulled my punches, really. I didn't say what I wanted to say because if I did, it would have really hurt his feelings. Um, but I'm at the point where I need to be frank with him because this is nothing to mess around with. He's going to have to make a choice. He's going to have to make a decision. And the decision is, are you going to choose life or are you going to choose to wallow in that despair now that you are in where you are as a result of the choices you've made? I love my dad, but I need to be really frank with him. And, I know that at some point it's going to be tough. And in that conversation, it I'm going to show love, but at the same time, it's gonna be tough love. Um, and I am my father's son because I'm stubborn, which is why I've avoided having the tough conversation with him because my stubbornness and his stubbornness together, whew, um, but I think that what you were saying earlier, Cassandra, really hit home. And if I'm going to be that example, um, I'm gonna have that conversation and be in that moment and forthright in what I'm trying to say to him, but also be genuine and also out of being genuine, also be loving because ultimately I just want the dude to be around for a little longer. You know what I mean? Like everybody does, right? They don't want to lose their dad. And it goes back to I don't want to say this. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about, but my mom when she was in hospice in the hospital, uh, pointed to my dad in the corner who was slumped in a chair, sleep, you know, from exhaustion, trying to make sure my mom was okay. And she said, "Take care of that man, no matter what. He's your dad." And he's making it hard for me to keep that promise. Um, but it's his choice. But he's got to understand that the choices he makes is impacting all the ones that truly love and care about him. So, in the talk that you had, Cassandra, I appreciate it because it's coming through. Thank you.
You are very welcome, and you're right. You were extremely vulnerable. Most of us, if we had the opportunity, we would hang on to our parents forever. Um, However, we all have free will, right? And he's free to make the decisions that he wants to make and live with the consequences of those feelings is a part of that free will, right? And you've drawn a pretty straight line that those decisions have ultimately led to his kidneys severely failing him, and that has to be such a hard thing to watch. And your heart is still very, very tender because of the process that you went through with your mother. And so when you're talking to your dad, you're also feeling that initial loss of her. And so it's a lot of stuff that's going on. Again, we see what we see, but there's always so much more, right? And you'll look back at some point and go, oh, just like you did when you drew the line with the hurricane and your mother's prayer, and how when she was going through hospice, that prayer, that same care you were able to provide for her and care and pray for her. You saw that come full circle. I am 100% convinced that you'll have similar aha moments through this experience with your dad. Um, right now, you are an adult male at whatever age that you are. I don't remember, but the person that's speaking is daddy's little boy. And daddy's little boy wants daddy to stay around and keep being daddy, right? For as long as possible. And that's such a natural response. I think what dad may need is something to look forward to. And so if you can focus the conversation on the things that he loves here the most, the grandbabies and the whatever, because you know him intimately, thinking about no longer being around for those things. He's no different than anybody else. Our motivation comes from our why. Our why has to be bigger than our excuses. And for him, up to this point, that why, especially probably with the loss of your mom, that why has not been big enough, or he hasn't focused on it and allowed himself to experience that why. So that's where I think you can help him the most, is determining what it is that would make him want to make better decisions so that he can continue to be here. You know, he at his age, he can think, my kids are grown, I've done my job, my wife's no longer here. And I actually was really, really sick when I was pregnant with my last son. He's 20 now. And I remember being in the hospital, and my only prayer was, because I was tired. I just got to that point and I was like, I didn't even know that you could get to this point and live through it and remember it and have it be an impact on your life. But when they talk about giving up the ghost and being done, I reached that point. And so my prayer was not for my life to continue. My prayer was that the doctors would be good enough that they would be able to sustain the baby. And that if that meant keeping me on life support for a while or whatever the situation needed to be, for my son to be strong enough to be born and live okay outside of my body. That was the only thing I wanted. That was my only why. And I remember just being just so sick, and they were getting to the point to where they were, that same day, they were going to insert a feeding tube in my neck somewhere. I hadn't eaten for, I don't even know how long. I couldn't keep anything down. And so I was losing weight. I was just dry and scaly and skinny. And it was just, it was horrible. And I had just decided, I'm done. And I prayed to God to, I talked about I thought about my older children, and I love their stepmom. And I got relief in knowing that without me being here, they would still have a mother figure. And I mean, all of this is playing out in my head. I'm saying to myself, you know, of course they'll miss me. They're my children, but they will at least have that soft landing. She's going to be there for them. She's a great bonus mom. They'll be okay, in my mind in that moment, because my suffering was greater than most things that were around me. So I had made peace in my mind with my older kids. And the only thing I wanted was for that baby to be sustained long enough to be born. And I gave up the ghost. I submitted, and I said, I said my prayer and I went to sleep. Y'all, I had not eaten, and I can't even tell you how long. And anything that I did ingest came right back up and then some. And so I have been living like that ever since the 6th week. My pregnancies are all the same. The first 6 weeks, I'm fine. I'm a normal pregnant woman. And then those hormones spike. And then I have hyperemesis, and I'm just no good. I can't keep anything down. I always lose about 20 pounds before I start to gain any weight. So I was in the throes of all of that for the 3rd time. And this was the worst. And so I just knew I was not going to survive. And I made peace with that. And I just had my prayer, basically take care of my babies, including the one that hasn't been born. And that was it. I was done. I was ready to go, because being here just felt like nothing but, struggle and pain and suffering. And I needed something, right, to look forward to. And the birth of this baby was the only potential thing. I went to sleep, though, after releasing all of that and finding my peace in the fact that when I wake up, I may not be still in my physical body. I may be on the other side. I went to sleep kind of hoping for that, because I was just that sick. And when I woke up, instead of getting that tube in my neck, I was so hungry. The nausea was gone, and I was hungry. And the nurse brought in food like she did 3 times a day that I didn't eat. And I ate everything on the plate. All of my preferences, because I'm a picky eater with the palate of an elementary school kid. All of that was gone. And I just ate what was in front of me and ate it in its entirety. When they talk about cleaning the plate, I did everything but lick the plate because I was so hungry. And the food, hospital food, y'all. But to me, it was a 5-course, 5-star meal. And I consumed it all. And the nurses and doctors said, all right, well, maybe we'll wait and see what happens with this before we give you the feeding tube. A few hours later, I was hungry again. Everything stayed down. And from that moment forward, I never stopped eating. I got back to normal. They didn't have to do the tube. They released me the next day. So I say all that to say, Jay, where your dad is in his processing of what's going on with his life. There's so many things that come up when we're not well, right? He could be experiencing some depression for his physical body. He could be dealing with, the losses and things that your family has been going through. And all of those things on top of the physical health can really push you down. So you have to discern what the real problem is that he's dealing with, so that you speak to that, and finding anything that can give him hope, and looking towards the future, and wanting to extend his life to be a part of that future. I think that's the real mission. And then more than anything, just connecting. And Dad, I love you. Dad, if I could keep you forever, I would, and just supporting and sharing. And then your journey is separate from his. You may have to do your own counseling. You may have to do your, whatever it is that you need to do, because what you don't want, we all know that there's going to be a day when each one of us takes that last breath, and you want to be able to just release and mourn. You don't want to go, I didn't have this conversation or that conversation, and put some blame on yourself for how things are unfolding. So think about that in relation to you and what you need. And then think about your dad's journey up until this point, and the things that that may give him hope looking forward, and deal with him separately from, I'm trying to hold on to this man for as long as I can because I don't want to be without both my parents, type of thing, which is the most normal human response that any of us would, it's normal. I'm not saying that it's not, but what I am saying is you're traveling two separate roads. Your journey and what you need in support of what's happening, and his journey and what he needs in support of what's happening. And I'll shut up and leave you alone because you were extremely vulnerable, and I've belabored it, and I apologize for that. Let's see what the folks are saying. Lots of prayers coming your way. Hey, Carol. So Carol is my hairdresser extraordinary who keeps these locks locking. She did join me. I'm so glad to see you here, and I'll be more glad to see you when my head is in your bowl and we getting this hair back together. Sean said, when you were talking about Jay, your personality and your dad's personality and the stubbornness, she says, I just pictured two rams locking horns. Sonia says, many prayers for Jay. Sean says, yes, prayers for you, Jay. Alexandria, welcome back. Always good to see you. Happy Thriving Thursday. Create a great day. Sean, I want to share this from my book. By resisting the difficult times of illness, loss, or failure, you only find more suffering and pain. Ooh, I'm going to put this up because she's speaking right to your heart, Jay. Try to face it all as it is. Look for the bright spots in the clouds and move through the tough times. God's timing is that. I read this morning. Perfect. So one more time from, that's Sean. Okay, Sean, I'm sorry. Your picture looks so differently when it's small. Let me put this back up. I can't even imagine. I can't even explain to you who I see in the small picture. But when I put you up, I see exactly who you are. Welcome back, and thank you so much for sharing this. I want to share this from my book. By resisting the difficult times of illness, loss, or failure, you only find more suffering and pain. Try to face it all as is. Look for the bright spots in the clouds and move through the tough times. God's timing is that. I read this morning. Perfect. His timing is indeed perfect. Thank you so much for that. And Sean Michael also said, powerful stories. Conchita says, Cassandra, hearing your story is a testimony to God's glory. It further explains why your light is so bright. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for saying that. I really, really appreciate that. Let me see if I missed anybody else. Okay, I think we are good. Brian, it looks like you are back. Jay, you can unmute if you want to, but I think you need your space, so we're going to leave you alone. But if you do want to say anything, by all means, do so.
Yeah, absolutely. I I'm gaining perspective, I'm gaining insight, and it's something I've thought about already.
Mm-hmm.
And you just creating that grand slam though in sharing your story. And really it's that divine purpose that God has put in front of me. It's us sharing our stories, and look how powerful that is, and
Mm-hmm.
what's actually happening, and how all of this is coming together today. The the thing about it is, yeah, we're definitely ramps locking heads. But in this moment, the you're right. I really just have to come clean and do it, because if I don't face it, there's going to be more of that pain and more of that suffering if it if I don't. It's like, um the tornado. Every year, right? There's a season for tornadoes.
Mm-hmm.
Every year. And do I face that season, or do I just cower and hide, or not face the fact that this is actually happening? And how does that going to impact my family? How is that going to impact what that looks like if I don't do the things necessary to keep my family safe?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm not thinking in that way, then th- I put myself at harm, I put my family, in harm's way. And there's no real need for that if I just pay attention and face it. And that's what I need to do, is I need to pay attention, and I need to face it, and need to have that conversation. So, um, great shares. Thank you, Sean, for reading that from your book. Thank you, Conchita. She's right. Your story, is really an example, and it allows us to see from your share that there is a way through that pain and that suffering, and sometimes you really just got to let go and
Mm-hmm.
let God. And so I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna let God take the wheel. Because if I do it, I'm afraid I might run into that tree. But thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for you went way Brene Brown today, and you jumped right into the pool of vulnerability. And often when you do that, like just like she lectures, you deepen relationships. You find people who are in your corner. You start to get what you need because it's vocalized. People realize that you need it. And I want you to even think about this from your health. We always laugh about the kids, and them being the little germ monsters. But the other thing that all that stress does have an effect on our immune system. And you've been sick a lot over the last couple of months, but I also know how much you've been shouldering for your family, including this one that you don't really talk about very much. So this is like the cherry on top of all those things that we already knew that you were dealing with. So even in that, take a look at your health. Feel, let your emotions, let how your body is responding be what we were talking about in the beginning, a signal for you to pay attention to so that you can give it what it needs. Poku also showed up and he says, sending my greetings from Ghana. Thank you for being here, Poku. To over to you, Brian, if you are now in a position to share.
Yeah, thanks, Cassandra. I'm just in transit. I got a couple of meetings this morning. Listening to this conversation is amazing. I love talking about gratitude and humility, and I want to put a different spin on it, right? So, for one, I think about gratitude. I think about gratitude from the perspective that it helps to shape our faith. When I think about the things that I'm grateful for, when I look back over my life, like the song goes, right? All I can do is say thank you. But when I'm saying thank you for those things, a lot of the time we find ourselves in situations that we don't necessarily want to be in. For when I was younger, I was a guest to the government for a couple of years. And, everybody in my family made this big deal about it. But the way I saw it was, let me look at what I have to be thankful for in this moment, right? I'm not dead. I'm not facing, you, you know, 22 years instead of 2 years, right? All of those things could have been the case, but they weren't, and I was thankful for that, right? So what I'm saying is, look back over your life and ask yourself, what did I ask myself for? What did I do to get me in this situation? What did I have changed to change where I am now? Right? Gratitude is not just about being grateful. It's about assessing how you got where you are. When you look back over your life and you start to assess, well, how did I get here? You know, did I cause this to happen? Or was this something that was out of my control? If it was out of my control, thank you God for letting me see it. If it was something that I could have done and I didn't, thank you God for letting me see it. If it was something that I could have done and I did do and it still didn't go that way that I wanted it to go, thank you God for allowing me to see it. Whatever you're doing, whatever's going on in your life, I don't care what it is, you always have something to be thankful for. The guy that's driving the old beat up truck, he's looking over at the guy that's in the new Denali, saying, "Oh man, I so want one of those new trucks." But there's somebody somewhere that's on a bike that's saying, "Man, I so would like to get one." But then there's somebody else that's saying, "It'd be nice if I had some legs to ride a bike. Right, that'd be great. I'd just like to ride a bike again one day." When you think back over your life, you always have something to be grateful for. There's something that my uncle used to always say. He said, when you buy your first house, don't rush as long as you always
We starting to lose your audio, Brian.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Okay. Now you sound good now. So where we lost you was when you were starting to tell us what your uncle always said. So if you can repeat that, I
So he
think
always said, when you get your first home, there will always be something to do in the house. You'll always have something to do. I took that lesson and I applied it to being grateful. In my life, there's always something that I can be grateful for. I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care what I've been through. I don't care what anybody else has. I've got something I can be grateful for all the time, every time. That's what gratitude means. You always have something to be grateful for. You always have something to be grateful for. That instills that not only instills that faith, it helps to fortify that faith, and everything becomes a moment of gratitude. That's it.
love it. Thank you so much for that. I see Dr. New is with us. Says, I'm thankful for being here with you, Cassandra, Jay, and Brian, and everyone here. Dr. New, we are thankful for you as well. You and Lisa and others did a great room. Yes, I think it was yesterday that I got a chance to listen in. So very grateful for what you are creating and bringing to these rooms and sharing your expertise. Wonderful stuff. I see my cousin Douglas has joined. Welcome, cuz. And I think I see Satish, y'all. Y'all know I was in India a while, not too long ago, and Satish was my driver. One of the things I never told you guys was when we got there, my husband had issues with his visa, and we got stuck in the airport for about 4 hours. And the whole time they were threatening to put him back on a plane and send him right back to the U.S. Satish never have met me before. Sat outside checking in on us, trying to find out what was going on because it took us so long to get out, and he waited the entire time. And then he proceeded every day, taking my husband back and forth to different appointments with the government, getting everything situated. And they became so close. They were like brothers. They WhatsApp on a regular basis. He stays in touch with us. And because of the struggle, because of the trouble, a real friendship was born. If he had just picked us up at the airport, dropped us off with no issue, we would have seen him the next time we needed somewhere to go, and it would have just been transactional, just him doing his job and us paying him for the job. We wouldn't have had the opportunity to get to know the manner of the man, the quality of the person that we were in the car with. But because of all the struggles and how he responded and how he supported two people from the other side of the world that he had absolutely no idea who we really were, was just amazing. And for that, he will forever be a part of our lives. I was the one that was coming on business. So he was connected to me. But when we were leaving the airport, when he brought us back, it was hilarious. I think he and my husband both forgot that I was there, because it was two buddies getting ready to say goodbye and not knowing when they were going to see each other again. The bromance that was born was amazing. And I was just this little thing off to the side, trying not to interrupt their moment. It was amazing to see. But, another example of how adversity can sometimes be the very thing that gives you what you didn't even know that you needed. We have family now on the other side of the world. And Satish, if you're still listening, one of my coworkers is going to be there in a couple of weeks. So I'll do the same thing Derek did and introduce you guys over WhatsApp. So you can pick him up, because I know he will be well taken care of if he's in the car with you. So again, guys, the things that we see as negative, I could really look at that situation differently and be first say, why didn't you get your visa situation taken care of properly before we left? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? But there's no good that's going to come from that mindset. There's no good that's going to come from pouring salt on a wound. But I can slightly adjust my perspective. I can slightly look at things a little differently, and I can see how something amazing that otherwise would not have been came from that situation. And we all have those situations in our lives, but are we focusing on them? Even though they're right in front of us. Like Brene said, I don't have to chase extraordinary moments for happiness. It's right in front of me if I'm paying attention and practicing gratitude. So we're going to end it with that. I am so grateful for all the shares. Love you, Jay. We'll be praying for you and your dad. And hopefully he will hear your message and you both will get what you need as you guys continue to work through this situation. I do have an invite for everybody. We have officially planned our challenge. You see the Soar Beyond Limits, right? That's our theme for 2024. I have a book that's going to be coming out in March that explains the SOAR framework. But there's a lot of activities that are going on leading up to that. And the first thing is our SOAR challenge. So I'm inviting you guys to go to iwanttosoar.com and fill out the assessment. It doesn't take very long at all. So you're just picking the answers there, no long text writing or anything like that. So it's a quick assessment, but as a result of it, you'll be able to calculate and you'll have an idea of where you stand in your personal growth journey based on this SOAR model. And then you'll get we'll meet with you, go over the assessment, tell you what each one of the phase that you're in, what that really means, and some things that you can do to continue to develop this year as you continue your journey. So iwanttosoar.com. There's no charge for the assessment. There's no charge for that. It's a 15-minute, kind of catch up and look at the assessment and answer your questions. And then we start a challenge on February the 20th. And it's going to be a 4-day challenge, about an hour or so each day, where we will dig into each of the letters of SOAR, really not just introduce you to that framework, but give you the opportunity to start to do the work so that you can apply it to your life and reap the benefits of it. So iwanttosoar.com. I'm going to be looking for you guys because when the assessments are completed, I get a notification that says, hey, somebody just completed your assessment. So I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys are doing, where you are currently standing in your personal development journey at this point, and then more importantly, what we can do to help you to continue to evolve, transform, and move towards the goals that you have set for yourself. So join us at iwanttosoar.com and we will take it from there. I think everything's covered, Jay. Brian, have I missed anything? Okay, got a thumbs up from Jay. So I think we are ready to go. So we look forward to seeing you guys back here tomorrow at 7:15 a.m. Central. It's already going to be Friday again, guys. So Focus Friday. We will talk about the importance of focus and how you can use that in your life to continue your journey as well. So see you back here tomorrow, 7:15 a.m. Central.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. We hope that you join us tomorrow for another episode. For advertising or sponsorship questions, reach out to Cassandra or any one of the Fam5 on their LinkedIn profiles. Have a great day, everyone.
Sold out. Thank you. Thank you for joining. We appreciate it.